Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the ceremony to begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chancellor, distinguished justices, honorary friends, we are gathered this afternoon to conduct a short, simple, but very important ceremony which should have happened in December in Georgetown. Every year since 2018, the University of Guyana chooses 2 exemplars of letters, arts, business, and science to confer upon them the university's honorary degrees. Since 2019, of course, there was COVID, and we were not able to confer the degrees, and so in 2022, we conferred 6, 2 each for the years that we had missed. But much more than that, Justice Desiree Bernard, her name came up 10 years ago when the prize was first nominated, and she was nominated several times since then. We went back to the file and found that she had been nominated 4 times in over and over again. And she holds the only distinction of having been nominated that many times for an honorary degree at the university. We know that as a daughter of Guyana, but a Caribbean daughter, she has been much more than exemplary. And we are delighted this afternoon to engage in this very simple, short, and focused ceremony in conferring on her in person what we did in absentia in December. And so, might I ask the Tara, our technical assistant this afternoon, to play the actual recording of the citation, which was written by our master orator, Mr. Al Crichton, and read by Kamani Khedaru, a lecturer at the Berbice campus in Tain in Guyana. And she had spoken this to the entire congregation, and so they heard it, and that was heard by over 2,000 persons on the day and several thousands afterwards. But we just wanted you to hear a little bit of what was actually done on the day.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to read the citation of the Honorable Madam Justice Desiree Bernard, one of the recipients of an honorary doctorate from the University of Guyana. Madam Justice Bernard, a Guyanese, graduated from the University of London with a Bachelor of Legislative Law honors in 1963. Having secured qualifications as a solicitor in 1964, the then Miss Bernard engaged in private practice in the High Court of the Supreme Court of Guyana from 1965 to 1980. During that period, she was appointed a magistrate in 1970, a commissioner of oaths and notary public in 1976, and was admitted to the English Roll of Solicitors in 1977. Among her remarkable achievements, Madam Justice Bernard established a number of professional firsts. The first president of the Organization of Commonwealth Caribbean Bar Associations, 1976, the first female High Court judge of the Supreme Court of Guyana, 1980, the first female Justice of Appeal, 1992, the first female Chief Justice of Guyana and the Commonwealth Caribbean, 1996, and the first female Chancellor of the Judiciary of Guyana and in the Commonwealth Caribbean 2001. During her long and distinguished career, Madam Justice Bernard has held memberships in various regional and international organizations. From 1960 to 1974, she served as the founding secretary of the Caribbean Women's Association. In 1976, she was a member and chair of the Caribbean Steering Committee for Women's Affairs, later established as the Women and Development Unit of the University of the West Indies. And in 2005, she took the oath of office as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Internationally, Madam Justice Bernard served as both rapporteur and chair of the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women during her membership, which ran from 1982 to 1998. In 2011, she was appointed a judge of the Inter-American Development Bank Administrative Tribunal. And in 2014, she was appointed to the Bermuda Court of Appeal. For her exceptional contribution to the improvement of the status of women and to the development and practice of law, Madam Justice Bernard has received several awards, the most notable being the Cassie Crown of Honor and the Order of Roraima. In 2005, the Honorable Judge was awarded the CARICOM Triennial Award for Women, and in 2007, she was awarded the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, by the University of the West Indies. Of women who have made sterling contributions to Caribbean jurisprudence, who have advocated for a good and just society, and who have set standards worthy of emulation, Madam Justice Bernard would undoubtedly be featured in our discourse. Congratulations, Honorable Madam Justice Desiree Bernard, on receiving an honorary doctorate from the University of Guyana.
I wish to invite our esteemed Chancellor, Professor Greene, to make remarks before he confers this award upon undoubtedly the tallest woman in the Caribbean.
It is really my distinct pleasure and honor to have to be here in Trinidad at Coughlin's house, and I want to say, added to the distinguished number of firsts, this is the first time the university would be doing an honorary degree in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. It's a real great pleasure because Madam Justice Bernard straddles the citizenship of the countries, and we are very pleased that we could have loaned her to Trinidad and Tobago. And in fact, we are pleased that this noble daughter of Guyana has really straddled like a colossus in the various professions that she occupied. I want her to know that her friends, especially Dr. Carol Bishop and Miss Myrna Bernard, they are very, very happy that this is happening, and sorry that they cannot come to Trinidad at this time, but they asked me to give you their love and to also tell you how proud they are, continue to be of you. And it is really with my great pleasure that with the powers vested in me by the Council of the University of Guyana to confer this honor on you, Madam Justice Bernard. A great pleasure.
Well, I must thank everybody who has been here, particularly those who were responsible in perhaps arranging the visit here and so on. But I appreciate it, and I thank you extremely much about being here. And I have never before seen myself in something which just happened.
It's a great privilege to be here. Professor Greene, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, our President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, everyone, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to be here to represent the women judges of the Caribbean. Desiree is our patron, and I hope I wouldn't stand on ceremony each time to call her Justice Bernard. She is the patron of the Caribbean Association of Women Judges. She is a mentor, a mother, an exemplar to each of us. And the interesting thing about Desiree is that if you tell Desiree you can't do it, as I did some years ago, she says, "Why not? Why not? You go, you go." And if you know of her, you know that she's an encourager as well. But I want us, because we're such a young group, I want us to take us back to 1972. In 1972, in October, Monica Barnes, I'm sure many of you remember that name, yes, decided that there was an occasion that was worthy of taking as many women as possible to the Hilton Hotel for a stunning dinner. Elizabeth Bourne of Barbados, I hope that name rings a bell, was appointed the first woman judge of Trinidad and Tobago and the Commonwealth Caribbean. The head of the Little Carib Theatre, remind me her name, Beryl McBurney, was there. And she was heard saying, that it was reported in the Trinidad Guardian, "Look at women, the men should see this." And of course, present in the group and at the head table to make a speech on behalf of the women lawyers of the Caribbean was Desiree Bernard. They said she literally had come from the airport, because she was coming back from Quito, wherever she was. And she was coming, and she said on her way to Guyana, she had to stop to celebrate this event with Elizabeth Bourne and the women of the Caribbean. Desiree went on, of course, as we know, to surpass Miss Bourne, Betty Bourne as she was called, and every other woman judge, and I think woman in the Caribbean, because she became all the firsts that were mentioned in that citation. First this, first that, first the other. But let me say, as I close, on behalf of the Caribbean Association of Women Judges, our mentor, our patron, our mother, our sister, our friend, our everything, because once Desiree is on your side, you can't go wrong. So thank you, Desiree, for all that you've done for each of us. And Justice Pemberton is here from the Court of Appeal of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm sure I have spoken the truth. Thank you very much. And Carol, bless you. Thank you.
Justice Bernard, my dear friend Desiree, Chancellor, Professor Greene, Vice-Chancellor, colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It really is a deep honor, a pleasure for me to be able to witness the ceremony, and on behalf of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the judges of the court, to represent them here at this very important award to our distinguished sister. My mind goes back to 2005 when the court was launched. And of course, Desiree was a shoo-in for the first cohort. There were only 7 judges to be selected. 6 really, because there was already selected a president, Mr. de Labastide. And it was a very competitive process. And of course, as I said, Desiree was a shoo-in. She was then Chancellor of the Guyana Judiciary. I have to say this, that it is regrettable that her post as Chancellor has never been filled since she left. It is still vacant, and someone is just acting in the position as they have done since 2005. But the 7 of us who were fortunate enough to be selected as judges, 6 men, 1 woman. Of course, Desiree was always the center of attention as the sole female. And as you can imagine, she brought to the court the grace, the patience, the dignity, quite apart from, of course, the scholarship, that really enhanced the court in several respects. Given her work at OCBA, the Organization of Caribbean Bar Associations, at the court, at the CAWJ, the Caribbean Association of Women Judges, and other regional organizations, I have to tell you, Professor Greene, that she might be Guyanese by birth, but this lady is a Caribbean icon. And we are so very thrilled that she has inspired so many people, both as a lawyer when she was at the helm of OCBA and as a judge. Throughout the region, I have spoken with several women in particular who have said to me how much they have been inspired by Desiree Bernard. I recall vividly, I think it was in 1998 when there was a conference in Guyana that she hosted that dealt with, I think it had to do with the CEDAW, elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. And it was attended by a number of judges in the region. And of course, most of those judges, chief judges, were male. And it is shortly after that conference that there emerged a vein of jurisprudence in the region that really exalted women, that examined issues from the standpoint of the vulnerabilities that women face and the manner in which the law needed to adjust itself to take account of those vulnerabilities. So there is a tremendous amount that we have to credit Justice Bernard with. And this ceremony is just another of the very many accolades that have been bestowed on her. Desiree, I wish you long life. I wish you a healthy, happy life. Of course, life is finite, but those of us in the Caribbean who know you love you dearly and will always do so. And we're happy that Carolyn is there with you and able to provide that support. And you have so many friends who are also able to give you that degree of comfort in these days. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the very best.
What can I say about this lady? I've been hearing her name since 1979, I think, when I first met my dear friend and now departed sister, Debbie Jan Osman Bakker. And to Debbie, this lady was a hero. She walked on water, right? So that when I did get the chance to actually see this lady in the flesh, it was when I was a I think I was a master in the Eastern Caribbean. And we sat down and had a little chat. You know, she encouraged me do what I, you know, about writing styles and women's issues, a wide-ranging conversation. And but one thing that struck me was her wit, quick wit, dry but very quick. And I'm saying to myself, but I didn't know that as a judge you could still, you know, crack these jokes, and you know, it was just a different experience for me. But she showed me that you could be a person, you know, you could be a person, you could have compassion, you could, you know, just relax and be yourself, even though you carry the mantle, the heavy mantle of justice on you. And I want to thank you so much for that, for showing me that, you know, despite whatever in this world, you can still retain you and be a success. And look at all the accolades and what you've been able to achieve by being you. I want to share a little joke with you too, because many of the lawyers speak about your fan. And I also use this when I lecture or when I talk to young lawyers about the fan, how to read your judge. Because they said Justice Bernard will start off with the fan at the side of, you know, writing her notes. And the minute she picked up that fan, know that something is not right. And when she started fanning vigorously, you knew, shut up. So I don't have a fan, but I do look over my oh yes, and looking over the glasses. So I look over my glasses. And I always tell people I'm doing a Justice Bernard here. Okay? But thank you so much. Congratulations. God's deepest blessings and favor follow you always. We love you.
Desiree, I feel honored to be here this afternoon for two occasions, for two reasons. One is to be part of this auspicious occasion and what you have done for Desiree, especially also as being a Guyanese in Trinidad for all these years. I just want to give a little bit of my association with Desiree. I have known Desiree since early 1950s because she was my prefect at school. And yes. And even in her layers not too long ago, and she would see me, and the first thing she reminds me of my days when I was at school and how wicked I was. Desiree was not only my prefect, but she became, because even though I'm not in the legal profession at all, Desiree is the one who stood up for me when in Guyana I was going through a legal situation. I look up to her as my mentor. My problems, regardless of what it is, I went to Desiree. And I've been going to her up to recently. Well, recently within the last 2 years. She has been my friend, will always be my friend. You are a blessing in my life. And I am so glad that Caroline asked me to come this afternoon. I would not have wanted to miss this occasion for nothing. So I'm representing the Bishop's High School of Guyana, and I'm speaking on their behalf as well, and I'm sure they're going to envy me so much. I put the responsibility on Caroline. So Desiree, thank you for being there for me. I will always be here for you, and I love you.
Thank you very much.
I'm a new friend. I met her through some of you know, Anne Mohamed, Paula Mohamed, Kenny Mohamed's wife. Yes, she came to Trinidad and introduced me to Desiree, who then lived in Federation Park. So I was delighted a few years ago when Desiree moved here and became my closer neighbor. And of course, a lot has been said about her scholarship, about her professional accomplishments. I want to say, though, that she is, for me, one of the most gracious and humble friends one could have. she never boasts or gives any indication of the accomplishments that you all have spoken of. And so I'm very proud to be her friend. I see her now on mornings liming outside when I am struggling to go to the gym, and she always says, "You look very nice." And where are you going? And I say, "Oh Lord, a trying. So Des, thank you. I kiss her. I say I'm off, I say I'm back, but she always assures me that I look nice. I'm not looking nice, old shoes and so, but she says, "You look very nice." So thank Des for being such a gracious and kind and loving friend to me. And good neighbor. Bye.
So on behalf of us all, thank you so much for everything that you've done, you're doing.
This was a real pleasure, and thank you all for, the tributes that you've paid. She is truly a wonderful, wonderful person, and UG is honored that she decided to accept our honor. So now we come to the other part that I must do. I hereby declare the gathering dismissed and in the hands of Caroline.